Hey kiddos. Okay, so what we're going to do today is another quick model over text structure. So, what I saw in our quiz is that while we may be able to pick the right multiple choice, we are still kind of getting caught up on the multiple choice. But I'm also seeing that we're having a hard time articulating, like if it's cause and effect, we're having a hard time articulating what is the cause, what is the effect. So, what we're going to do is we're going to practice with that today. And I thought we would do it, so given the week, I thought we would do it with some fun Halloween themed passages. Okay. So, remember, this is our goal, this is what we are working on till Thanksgiving. And so, what we're going to do this week is just kind of review everything we did last week and just make sure we're really ready to take it to that open response step. So, remember, our goal says I will be able to identify the structure of an informational text and justify with evidence from the text. We know that when we identified something, we're able to find it, we know what it looks like. When we're talking about structure of an informational text, we're talking about how the author chooses to organize information, right? How did the author choose to write this passage? We know justify means prove it, and we know that when we say evidence from the text, it has to be word for word. Okay, these are the four types of text structures that we are really working on throughout this process. There is another one called description, and that is where the author just gives information about a topic. That's an easier one to identify, so we haven't really touched it yet, but these are the four that I want us to get really comfortable with: comparison, problem and solution, sequencing, cause and effect. We know that comparison is when an author is comparing two topics. Okay, I'm going to see signal words like both, similar, alike, different, either one, in contrast. Problem and solution, I know there is a problem, and then the author is going to tell me how to fix it. So in this structure, oftentimes we get this confused with cause and effect. But what I think I've said this before, but one thing I really want you to think about is if the author doesn't tell me how to fix it, if the author doesn't tell me how to solve the problem, it is not problem and solution. In problem and solution, the author will always present you with an issue, a challenge, a problem, and the author is always going to tell you a way to fix it, maybe make it better, maybe make it not as bad, but there's going to be a solution in there. So you're going to have to look for both of those things. Cause and effect, the reason why something happens, what happens, the result. This is a hard one to find sometimes. What you have to ask yourself is oftentimes I like to start with the effect. What happened? What was the effect? Once I know what happened, then I can backtrack and start looking for the cause. What made this thing happen? And then we have sequencing. And this one to me is the easiest one to find because I feel like it's very clear when an author is trying to organize information. Think about our novel that we've been reading through. The author is putting the history of how the 13 colonies became the 13 states in order. We're seeing lots of words like dates. Okay, we're seeing a lot of these types of signal words here. One thing I do want to caution you about, and I've said it before, but I'm still seeing us get confused, is words like first, second, last. Kiddos, good writers use transition words. So even if the passage has those words in there, it does not always mean it's going to be sequencing. That's why we're going to really focus this week on asking ourselves, what is the structure? So if I'm saying it's sequencing, well, then I have to know what's the author putting in order. Okay. All right. So I'm going to model for you. Remember that when I'm modeling, it's really important that you're paying attention. Virtual kiddos, take notes on this part. Write down what Miss Megan's doing. If I'm doing something, you're like, oh, that's what I've not been doing, write it down. Okay. Here we go. So I know that I am a good reader, and good readers read the passage first. I look for any text features that I have. I look for a title. I look for any clue that might help me answer questions or understand the passage. While I'm reading, I also want to use main idea. What is this passage all about? So I'm thinking about that as I read. Because today I'm specifically reading for text structure, I'm also looking for those signal words. Okay. Look, virtual kids, that anchor chart on Google Classroom has all of the signal words that you need. Okay. Here we go. Around the world, I see a word right here, right off the bat. There are different holidays celebrated at the same time as Halloween. For example, this is a signal word for description. Now, we haven't talked about description yet, but you're going to see it on that chart. So if you were to circle that, that would be fine. For example, in Mexico, people celebrate Day of the Dead, just like Halloween. Ooh, I like this word, just like. When I know something is just like, it means it's the same. Just like Halloween, this holiday starts on October 31st. Day of the Dead, however, ooh, a contradicting word here, is celebrated for 3 days. The purpose of modern day Halloween is to share scary stories, go trick or treating, and dress up in costumes. The purpose of Day of the Dead is to remember family members who have passed away. Oop, I see a signal word here. Both celebrations have special symbols. Pumpkins are a symbol of Halloween, and skulls are a symbol of Day of the Dead. Ooh, and what do I see right here in my text features? I see a skull and I see a pumpkin, right? There are also special treats for each holiday. Pumpkin pie and candy corn are very popular Halloween treats. A special bread called dead bread and sugar skulls are common Day of the Dead treats. Halloween and Day of the Dead are, oop, I see another good keyword here, different holidays celebrated at the same time. Okay, so I found my signal words. This is remember, kiddos, step 3. I'm using my journal to think about what the structure could be. Now, I also need to step back and think, what was this passage all about? Well, it talked a lot about Halloween and it also talked a lot about Day of the Dead. And so I know that the author's talking about two topics here, two things. Kind of telling me about how Halloween and Day of the Dead were kind of the same, but also how Halloween and Day of the Dead were kind of different. And that's supported if you look at all my signal words. I've got different, I've got same, just like, I've got both, different, same time. All of these are words that you would find in the compare and contrast box on our anchor chart. So now that I have it in my head that I think this is compare and contrast, I'm going to look at my signal words. So I have a dot here that I can drag and drop. Because I'm in present mode, I won't be able to do that. But on your We Do, you'll be able to grab this and move it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read through all of my choices. A, to describe how Halloween and Day of the Dead are, ooh, I see a signal word here, similar and different. Really like this one. But I know better than to just circle A. I need to look at all my choices. B, to show how Halloween caused Day of the Dead. No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. To explain the problems of getting Halloween and Day of the Dead confused. Well, we definitely could get them confused, but remember, when we're talking about problem, they're also, I'm going to try to spell this out with my finger on the trackpad here, has to be a solution. There has to be a way to fix it. If there's no way to fix it, it is not problem and solution. And there was no solution given to me here. I also, kiddos, didn't have any signal words for that structure. To put the history of Day of the Dead in order. Well, kiddos, this is where main idea comes into play. Half of this passage was about Halloween, and this option tells me nothing about Halloween. So my best choice here is A. Okay, but I know also that I need to cite with word for word evidence. Oh, I guess I don't have it on there. My apologies, kiddos. What I would do here is that I would pick a sentence or two sentences that are going to sum up this idea that Day of the Dead and Halloween are similar and different. And so I actually really like this last sentence here. Halloween and Day of the Dead are different holidays celebrated at the same time. That would be an awesome sentence to show how we're comparing and contrasting Halloween and Day of the Dead. And so then I would have it written right here in word for word form. So just like you see it here, that's exactly how I would type it. Okay. But we're taking it a step further this week because remember I said when I looked at our quiz, one thing I noticed was that we weren't doing a good job of articulating here what was the author comparing? How are they the same? How are they different? So after we've found our multiple choice, we're actually then going to put the passage, everything we've learned about the passage into a graphic organizer. Now on yours, you're going to have, you can kind of see it right here. The passage is right here, but because I'm in present mode, I guess I could take it out. Yeah. So I've got the passage here. I've got my highlight bars here that I could use. You see that you've got highlight bars here for you to use. Here, what I would do is I'm going to take what I learned from my first time I read it, and I'm going to organize it into these graphic organizers that we used the first week we were looking at text structure, because this is going to help me understand how they are the same, how they are different, and it's just helping me better understand the structure. Because if we don't understand the structure without the support of multiple choice, we won't be able to do the open response part that we need to do in the next couple of weeks. So it says topic 1, Halloween, topic 2, Day of the Dead. So I know that right here is where I'm going to write about just Halloween. Right here is where I'm just going to write about Day of the Dead. And here is where I'm going to write about how they are the same. So I went ahead and I already picked out ways that they were similar and ways that they were different. If you look back up here, remember we were talking about how Halloween starts on October 31st. The purpose of Halloween is to share scary stories. The purpose of Day of the Dead is to remember loved ones who passed away. So that's kind of where I went when I was pulling my evidence. And so for in Halloween, I would write, and again, this is word for word. So you'll see it. Let's underline it. The purpose of modern day Halloween is to share scary stories, go trick or treating, and dress up in costumes. And so you'll see that same thing here. Okay. The purpose of modern day Halloween is to share scary stories, go trick or treating, and dress up in costumes. Well, if I'm saying this about Halloween, I need to say something different about Day of the Dead. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the purpose of Day of the Dead. Let me grab a different color and scoot over here. That's that next line. The purpose of Day of the Dead is to remember family members who have passed away. Okay. And so what you're seeing is me pulling that word for word evidence out. But the author also told me how they were the same. So I'm going to put that part in there too. Just like Halloween, this holiday starts on October 31st. And so again, I'm showing you, oops, no Siri, I don't need you. Make Siri go away. Just like before, I'm showing you how they are the same. Okay, so I'm saying just like, remember we said that word right there told me that they were the same. And if you'll notice, all of my evidence is coming out word for word. Okay, all right, kiddos. So I want you to think for just a second. What steps did I follow? What signal words did you hear? And how did I choose the multiple choice question? Think for just a second. Pause this video if you need to. So what steps did I follow? Well, remember first I read it. I highlighted signal words. I used that anchor chart to help me figure out what the structure could be. And then I cited with word for word evidence. You heard signal words like both, same, different, just like, okay, which led me to think compare and contrast. And then when I was choosing the multiple choice, I read all of them. I didn't right away circle A. I read all of them. And I also looked for signal words in my multiple choice. And I really thought, what was that passage all about? Still pulling on my main idea. Okay. So remember, kiddos, this is our goal. It says I will be able to identify the structure of an informational text and justify with evidence from the text. All right, kiddos, did I meet this goal? Did I identify the structure? Yeah, I did. I said it was comparison, right? Did I justify with evidence from the text? Yeah, I did it in two different ways, right? One with just a sentence after the multiple choice, and then I want to step further and organize the information into a graphic organizer. So that's what you guys are going to do for me. So this video is going to be what we use the next couple of days. So on day one, you'll do Halloween text structure. We do one, and then we do two, we do three. And every day they're going to look the same. What you're going to have is a passage that looks just like what I had. You're going to have multiple choice that looks just like what I had. You're going to be able to use the signal bars to highlight signal words. You can drag this over the multiple choice that you've chosen. You can type here with word for word evidence, and then you'll go to the second slide and you will, if you need to re-highlight, I put the bars there for you, or you can just jump back up to what you highlighted on the first slide, and you're going to organize the information into a graphic organizer. Okay, it's going to be the same for every day. So that's what you're going to go ahead and do for me. If you have any questions, kiddos, let me know. I'm here to help.